From Miles Morales wanting to stop the Spot without killing him to the animated movie possibly ending with a live-action scene, here are the most shocking Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse fan theories. Is Morales against killing the bad guy? From the trailers that have been released so far for Across the Spider-Verse, we can predict that Miles will face off against other Spider-Men from different universes. According to one Redditor, the villain, the Spot, is in the middle of that conflict. From the trailers, the Spot doesn't look like much of a threat. But if Miles is the first Spider-Man to meet him and he can't stop the guy, then Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, might think the Spot is truly very dangerous and needs to be permanently killed. In the books, Miguel doesn't get upset over deaths as much as Peter. This is also a guy who's relatively more violent, with a higher tendency to kill. O'Hara won't think twice before ending the Spot for good. But the problem is that Miles might blame himself for not stopping the Spot in the first place. Because if he had, then Miguel wouldn't have felt the need to kill him. The way this could play out in Across the Spider-Verse is if O'Hara's in charge of the Spider People and tells them to kill the Spot to protect the world. This could be why Morales is on the run from them in the new trailer. It's clear Miles is a bit of a softie, but it's also possible that he'll realize he can't save everyone. If he does have to choose, one fan thinks he might pick his family over saving the world. In the trailer, we hear Spider-Man 2099 say, "Being Spider-Man is a sacrifice." The way Spider-Man's fate works is that he has to lose someone close to him, so that he can overcome that and then save the world. In Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Miles may have had his own Uncle Ben moment when his uncle Aaron Davis died. The second movie, though, shows that this sacrifice will happen again at the hands of the Spot. We also know that Peter Parker says Morales will have to choose between saving one person or saving the entire world. This time, though, he might consider saving his uncle. This would explain why the other members of the Spider Society try to stop Miles from changing his fate. Speaking of fate, have you ever wondered if Spider-Man was meant to become the Spidey superhero he is today? According to one theory, the reason Morales is being chased is because he was never meant to become Spider-Man. Going back to Into the Spider-Verse and revisiting the scene where the multiversal spider bites Morales, it's easy to miss the fact that the spider's body has the words Alchemax 42 written on it. If you don't know, it's the same evil company that gave Spider-Man 2099 his powers. On top of that, the spider also glitches for a split second. One fan questions if the spider's connection to Alchemax and the number are signs that Miguel sent it to Miles' universe. The after-credits scene suggests that they're behind most of the multiverse pranks in the movie. It's possible that Spider-Man 2099 sends these spiders with changed genes into other worlds to make more spider people fight Alchemax. The post-credits scene in Into the Spider-Verse also hints at this. Basically, O'Hara's virtual helper Layla tells him that the multiverse is safe, even though it was almost destroyed. They both seem surprised by Miles' skills, which could mean they didn't think he'd become Spider-Man in that world. So, at the end of the day, Morales becoming the new Spider-Man might have saved the multiverse, but it could also have bigger effects on upcoming movies. That might explain why Miles is fighting Miguel in parts of Across the Spider-Verse we have seen so far. On the other hand, a theory says that Morales being bitten by a scientifically crafted spider could give him powers no other Spider-Man possesses. Back in Into the Spider-Verse, when the other Spider People went to Miles' world, their cells started to break down and their bodies became unstable until they died. Without a way to go back, this made it hard to move between worlds. But they were also always bitten by spiders from their own universes. Since Miles' spider had Alchemax 42 written on it, it could mean that this animal was used in experiments. The most interesting thing about it was that it had the same cellular breakdown as the other spider people who came to visit. Because of these things, it's possible that the spider's poison mixed perfectly with Morales' DNA, making him the only person who could move between universes without his cells dying. This would also explain why Spider-Man 2099 is chasing Miles in the future. Or he could be guarding Morales against enemies who want to study him and use his cells to move to other worlds without dying. Spider-Man 2099 also has a watch that opens doors and probably keeps him safe in other worlds. But Miles doesn't have that. This is another way of showing that his new ability to protect his cells is better than Spider-Man. 2099. While Morales could potentially have elevated superpowers, he also seems to mess things up when he travels across other worlds. According to a theory, one of those mess-ups could be that he wants to reveal his identity. This could explain why the Spider-Men are chasing him, and that reason could be related to Spider-Man from the 1990s. The thing is, the illustrated show was never finished. We don't know what happened to MJ in the end, apart from her getting lost in the openings made by the device the Spot built. So what if Across the Spider-Verse ties this up? What if Miles is being chased by everyone because he wants to reveal himself? It makes sense, because what went wrong in the 90s animated show was that the Green Goblin figured out who Spider-Man was. So he went after MJ and Parker. It would also explain why Miguel brought up Tom's Spider-Man. In that case, what if in Across the Spider-Verse, when Tom explains to Miles why he can't share his name, we're quickly shown what would happen if he did? This theory then would also explain why there are so many Spider-Man figures from the past without taking too much away from the story. But judging by how serious everything is in the trailer, one Redditor thinks it makes more sense if the villains in this story are all the other Spider-Men. So, Jonathan Owen starts out as a normal guy, but then gets skills that let him move between universes. It turns out that the effects of these powers that he can't control are terrible, kind of like the effects of the Super Collider in the last movie. This is why Miguel put together a team to catch him, so they keep him in jail for a long time, until he finally breaks out and becomes the Spot, which sets off the events of Across the Spider-Verse. That's when Miles meets this group of Spider-Men and helps them try to catch the Spot again. When he finds out what Miguel and the others did to him, though, he realizes that the Spot isn't the villain, but rather someone who needs help. He thinks it's morally wrong to lock up a man against his will, especially for something he couldn't control, but O'Hara thinks it's a lesser evil in the face of saving the multiverse. This is where the Spider-Men come into conflict, and the chase starts when Miles wants to run away to try and talk to the Spot, but Miguel attempts to stop him. If you think this change-up in the story is crazy, you're gonna lose your mind with this fan's theory that predicts Across the Spider-Verse turning into a live-action by the end of the movie. Co-director Kemp Powers has already said that Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse will both be connected. So it's possible that Across the Spider-Verse will end on a cliffhanger. And if the Spot is the bad guy, then there's a chance that he'll somehow escape or take over the multiverse in a major way. If you haven't heard already, some rumors about MCU Spider-Man's Tom Holland making an appearance have also come up. Keeping that in mind, some fans think that by the end of Across the Spider-Verse, it will turn into a live-action movie. And by doing that, the character will quite literally go beyond the Spider-Verse. If the end scene is shown from Miles' point of view with only the live-action Spider-Man talking to him, Sony will have more time to find the right actor to play him. This would also bring the biggest hype imaginable to Beyond the Spider-Verse. So there you have it. From the animated movie possibly ending with a live-action scene to Miles Morales wanting to stop the Spot without killing him, these were the most shocking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse fan theories.